Hello everybody, in this video we're going to be taking a look at the Syenann Grand Captain from Warcrow by Corvus Belli, and then I'm going to be showing you how to paint Drow skin. Now this miniature, the Syenann Grand Captain, is a pre-order exclusive, so I'm unsure if it's available now, but the Syenann Action Pack has recently come out, and you can check out the new Warcrow Elves by checking out that box. Now here is the miniature itself, obviously not assembled. I've opened up the packaging, but haven't put it together, so we can all take a look at what it looks like coming out of the box. Here is the tactical rock you're going to be receiving. It's a tree. It's made out of a injected thermoplastic, as all the parts of the miniatures are. It's a pretty strong material, but it's kind of soft. It's got a bit of leeway. Doesn't feel like it's going to break, which is fantastic. Here we have the body. As you can see, there's a lot of details in this. It's really good. I'm actually quite surprised with how nice it looks, and it makes me very excited for this product. Here is the face. I think the face looks a little questionable, honestly, but it might just be the reflective nature of the material. But when we get it primed up, I hope that it will keep all those fantastic details that we can see. And we'll see that as I paint in this video. The bow is a great example of the thermoplastic injection. As you can see, it's got some bend to it. It won't snap, which is fantastic. So if you accidentally hit it on the tabletop, you can't expect it to break. The detailing is quite nice on the bow as well. Then we have the other arm here. It's quite small, so don't lose it. And finally, we have the base. It's extremely smooth. There's absolutely no texture on it like GW bases, so we're going to have to add some texture paste. Here we have the built model. Look how cool that is. Absolutely fantastic sculpt, lots of action, very cool. For the base, I added some texture paste as well as cork and some cut up plastic sprue to create some rocks. Later on, we're going to add some tufts and paint them as well. I primed the miniature in Chaos Black by Citadel, and then looked at some inspiration from Baldur's Gate 3. Minthara in particular, I took some color swatching from her skin to decide what colors to use on this project. I'm going to talk a little bit more about color swatching in the future, especially for my Gundam videos. For this, I decided on Tooth and Coat's Amethyst Rain as the base coat for the skin. We're going to apply an even layer across all of the skin on the model, and then we're going to be building up some highlights and blending it in after that. Now, Amethyst Rain is quite a saturated purple, so it's going to look very purple. If you take a look back at the Minthara picture, it's actually going to work out quite well as we start to highlight in some less saturated kind of pale purples, as well as add some warmth through a pink later on in the video. And here you have the base coat all complete. We're going to be moving into our first highlight, which is going to be a mixture of Slaanesh Gray with our previous Amethyst Rain and Slaanesh Grays from Citadel paints. And we're going to be applying it pretty liberally here. Honestly, it'll look a little bit thick and way too strong compared to our base coat, but that's okay because we're going to be blending it back down to get it to fit in. Now, our application is going to look a little messy, and that might peeve off some of you Space Marine painters, but it's okay. Messy painting is great. It adds some visual interest. Nothing in the world is really clean, I guess, except for Space Marine armor. You want to create some texture. You want to create some texture through dotting, through quick little slices, as you can see in the video. And when we blend those down, those will be a little bit less obvious as straight up dots. It'll just create a more interesting blend. Our first highlight is complete, and we're going to be moving on to some glazing to reduce that stark contrast between the highlight and the base. As you can see as I test on my thumbnail, our glaze has to be quite thin with very little paint in it. That small amount of paint will create a very nice gradual blend, whereas if there's a lot of paint, it could create something very stark. Now we're going to be moving on to our secondary highlight stage of a 50-50 mix of AK Sky Gray as well as our previous Syenann Gray. The Syenann Gray will add a little bit of purple tone to that Sky Gray, but not a lot. It's going to look pretty pale, which is great for our highlight. I like to highlight my muscles with like a lot of definition, and I know some people like them a bit smoother, but I think the high definition, high contrast gives a great look on the tabletop. With this highlight, we're actually going to be glazing upwards. We're going to be glazing with that Syenann Gray with a little bit of that Amethyst Rain mixed in. And you can see here that I start glazing the highlighted color upwards into our Sky Gray mixture. That way our glaze doesn't pool into our darker areas and it builds in towards that highlight, helping it have a nicer gradient. At this point, I feel like the model has gotten a tad bit too bright, so we're going to start bringing it down with an additional glaze. We're going to be utilizing 2 thin coats Hydra Green, which is their version of Citadel's Inked by Darkness. Both are fantastic colors. You want to make sure you test your glaze before you start applying it to your model. I thought my glaze was a little thick here, so I thinned it out a bit more before starting to go back to reapply. I had the opportunity, so I snuck in there and painted the eyes. There's a little bit of a red tone in the pupils, but it's so small that it's pretty difficult to tell. Now we're going to start adding our final highlight stage, and that's going to be Pallid Witch Flesh from Citadel. It's a very strong, bright color, so we need to make sure that our paint is thin, and we're working delicately. As you can see, I'm adding dots, I'm adding micro strokes, I'm sketching that highlight in. I've been doing some pencil sketching lately, so it's been on my mind, and I really enjoy adding texture that way. Now we're going to move in with our final glaze, and I'm going to be utilizing the Army Painter Warlock Purple. Now this is going to be the old Army Painter formula. It's not going to be the Fanatics 2.0, which is much better. It's much improved upon. But I have this paint on hand. I've used it before, and I actually do like it. So I'm going to be glazing this pink in there to add some warmth and blood flow to our model. Now I will admit it is difficult to see. My camera's exposure must be up too high. The light that I'm working under must be a little bit too bright. but I do promise you that pink is getting in there, and in future videos I will try to improve the lighting and improve the camera work so that you can see these details getting added in a little bit better. So here is the completed model in all of its glory. This is the Syenann Grand Captain from Warcrow, one of the new elves that they've just released for their war game. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you did, please make sure to like, subscribe, and leave a comment below. I enjoy direct feedback. It helps me improve greatly. For future videos, I'm going to be doing some Marvel Crisis Protocol. I'm going to be doing some Gundam Assemble, which will include official paint schemes as well as alternate ones like Aces. I'm going to be doing some Trench Crusade, and I'm going to be doing a lot more of random things like this Warcrow miniature, so if you do like it, please make sure to come back, and I appreciate your time.